Monday we talked about the harsh truth, you don't respect your own word, and that's exactly why you're still stuck. Wednesday we gave you the system, those if-then plans, to finally kill resistance and force execution. And today, Saturday, we're going to the deepest level. Because here's what almost nobody talks about. Even when you finally start using the system, even when you follow the if-then plans for a week or two, even when you feel like you're finally making progress, most people still slide right back to where they started. You do the plans, you keep your word for a few days, you feel that little burst of hope. Then life gets loud, work piles up, and without even noticing it, you're back to negotiating with yourself again. Back to skipping workouts, back to breaking the promises you swore this time would be different. And you sit there wondering, why does this keep happening? I have the system now, I know what to do, so why am I still stuck in the same loop? The answer is simple, and it's the piece most people never reach. You're still trying to rise to the level of your goals. You haven't changed who you are. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. That single sentence explains why so many of us keep repeating the same cycle, even when we have the tools. Your goals are just outcomes you want. Your identity is who you believe you are. And right now, the version of you that you believe you are, the one who tries hard but eventually falls off, the one who wants discipline but can't keep it, the one who starts strong but always fades. That version is stronger than any system you try to use, because you are always consistent with your identity. You're just being consistent with the wrong one. Think about it for a second. Every single day you are casting votes. Every time you follow through on an if-then plan, even when you don't feel like it, you cast a vote for the new person you want to become. Every time you negotiate, delay, or break your word again, you cast a vote for the old version of you that you say you're tired of being. Those votes stack, quietly, relentlessly. And over time, they don't just change your habits. They literally change who you believe you are. That's why some people can use the exact same system and completely transform their life, while others use the system for 2 weeks and then quit. The difference isn't the system, the difference is the identity they're voting for. This is the missing piece. This is the part that turns temporary execution into permanent change. Because once your identity shifts, you don't have to fight yourself anymore. You don't have to rely on motivation. You don't have to force the if-then plans every single day. You just do the thing. Because that's who you are now. That's when discipline stops being something you do and becomes something you are. That's when the grind to a million stops feeling like a constant battle and starts feeling inevitable. And that's exactly what we're going to build together in this video. So if you've ever felt like you finally have the tools, but you're still watching yourself fall back into the same old patterns, this is the video that explains why, and more importantly, this is the video that shows you how to finally break that cycle for good. Stick with me for the next 20 plus minutes. We're going deep today. Let's get straight to the core idea. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. This is not just motivational fluff. This is one of the most important distinctions in all of habit psychology and personal development. Most people spend their entire lives trying to push themselves upward toward their goals. They set bigger targets, they try harder, they look for better systems, they chase more motivation. But no matter how hard they push, they eventually fall back down to the level of who they believe they are. Your identity is like the floor you stand on. If your identity is low, if you see yourself as someone who starts but never finishes, or someone who wants success but can't stay consistent, then no matter how high you try to jump, you will always land back on that same low floor. That's why the cycle feels so familiar and so exhausting. You set a goal to train 5 days a week. You do it for 10 days, then you miss 1, then 2. Then you tell yourself, I'll restart next Monday. You set a goal to post videos consistently for this channel. You upload 3 or 4 in a row, then life gets busy, then you miss a week, then another. Then you feel guilty and promise yourself you'll get back on track soon. You set a goal to build real wealth. You start the side hustle. You follow the if-then plans. Then something comes up. You get tired. You negotiate with yourself. And slowly, the momentum dies. This pattern isn't random. It's predictable. Because your behavior is always aligned with your current identity. You are not failing at discipline. You are succeeding at being the person you currently believe you are. James Clear put it perfectly in Atomic Habits. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Every single day, you are voting. When you keep your word on a small commitment, you vote for the disciplined version of you. When you break that word, you vote for the version that tries but can't follow through. And here's the brutal part most people don't want to hear. Your brain doesn't care about your big, exciting goals. It cares about staying consistent with who you believe you are. That's why willpower eventually fails. That's why even the best if-then plans stop working after a while. Because you're still operating from the old identity. The old identity is comfortable, it's familiar, it requires no real change. So your brain keeps pulling you back to it, no matter how strong your system is. But the good news is that the opposite is also true. You can change your identity, not by wishing, not by repeating affirmations, not by visualizing success. You change your identity by stacking evidence, by casting enough votes for the new version of you until the evidence becomes undeniable. When the votes for the new identity outnumber the votes for the old one, your brain starts to update its belief about who you are. And once that update happens, everything shifts. Suddenly, the if-then plans become easier to follow. Keeping your word stops feeling like a constant fight. Execution becomes your default setting instead of something you have to force. This is the missing link between having a good system and actually becoming the person who no longer needs to rely on the system every single day. So the real question isn't, how do I hit my goals? The real question is, who do I need to become so that hitting these goals feels natural? That shift from goal-focused to identity-focused is what turns temporary motivation into permanent transformation. Let's slow down and make this painfully real. I want you to see exactly how this identity problem shows up in the areas of life you probably care about the most. Because until you see it clearly, you'll keep repeating the same invisible cycle. Let's start with fitness, because it's one of the most common places this plays out. You decide, once again, that this is the year you finally get in shape. You feel that familiar fire, you set the goal, you create solid if-then plans from Wednesday's video. If I get home before 7 p.m., then I change clothes and train for at least 20 minutes. No negotiation. The first 10 days feel incredible. You're waking up with energy. Your clothes fit a little better. You even catch yourself smiling in the mirror. You think, this time is different. I finally have the system. Then week 3 hits. You had a brutal day at work. Traffic was terrible. You're drained. The moment you walk through the door, your brain starts the negotiation. You've already done so much this week. One day off won't undo everything. You deserve to rest. You can train extra hard tomorrow. You listen. The next day the voice is even stronger. Well, you already missed yesterday, so today doesn't really count either. You'll restart fresh on Monday. By the end of the week, the workouts have completely stopped. The gym bag sits untouched. The motivation that felt so real 2 weeks ago has completely vanished. Here's the part most people miss. You didn't fail because the if-then plan was bad. You didn't fail because you suddenly became lazy. You failed because your identity was still, I am someone who tries to get in shape but can't stay consistent. That identity was stronger than your system. Every time you skipped, you cast another vote that reinforced the old story you tell yourself about who you are. The same pattern shows up with your content. You commit to the Monday, Wednesday, Saturday schedule. You record several videos. You feel proud. You tell yourself, this channel is finally going to grow. Then one Saturday, you're tired. Editing feels heavy. The views on the last video were low. Your brain whispers, maybe I'll just post next week. One missed upload won't kill the channel. One missed week turns into 2, then 3. The consistency you built starts to crumble. You go from feeling like a creator to feeling like someone who wants to grow a channel but can't stay consistent. Again, not because you lack ideas or discipline, because your identity is still someone who starts projects but eventually fades. The pattern repeats with money and wealth building. You start the side hustle with real excitement. You track your numbers, you follow your systems. For a few weeks, the progress feels real. Then a few slow months hit, revenue dips. Unexpected expenses come up. Your brain says, maybe this isn't working. Maybe I should just focus on the 9 to 5 and try again when things feel more stable. You slow down. You stop executing the daily actions. The dream of building something that could actually lead to $1 million quietly moves further away. In every single case, the goal was clear. The system was there, but the identity underneath was still the old one, and that identity always wins in the long run. This is why so many people feel stuck in a loop of temporary success, followed by crushing disappointment. They keep changing the surface level tactics, while the deep story they believe about themselves stays exactly the same. They keep voting for the old version of themselves without realizing it, and the votes add up. Every skipped workout is a vote. Every delayed video is a vote. Every time you choose comfort over execution is a vote. Your brain is keeping score even when you're not. The beautiful and terrifying part is that the reverse is also true. Every time you follow through when you don't feel like it, you cast a vote for the new you. Every time you keep your word, despite exhaustion, you strengthen the identity of someone who executes. Over enough time, those votes start to outweigh the old ones. The scale tips. Your brain begins to update its belief about who you really are. And that's when real, lasting change begins. I want you to sit with this for a moment. Right now, in your own life, which identity is winning the vote? Be honest with yourself. Are your daily actions voting for the person who wants discipline, or the person who actually is disciplined? Are they voting for the person who hopes to build wealth, or the person who consistently does the work required to build it? The answer to that question is quietly shaping your entire future. Now that you can see the identity problem clearly in your own life, let's talk about the mechanism that actually changes it. Every single action you take is a vote. This is one of the most powerful ways to think about personal change. It's simple, but it's not simplistic. Every time you follow through on an if-then plan, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it, even when no one is watching, you cast a vote for the new person you want to become. Every time you negotiate with yourself, delay the task, or break the promise you made, you cast a vote for the old version of you that you say you're tired of being. These votes are quiet, they don't make noise, they don't give you immediate feedback, but they are relentless. They stack. Day after day, week after week, month after month. And over time, the side with more votes wins. Your brain is always watching these votes. It's keeping a running tally. It's updating its belief about who you really are based on the evidence of your actions. This is why change feels so slow at first. For the first few weeks, it can feel like nothing is happening. You do the right thing one day, then slip the next. The old identity still feels stronger. The new one feels fragile. But if you keep casting votes for the new identity consistently, even in small ways, the evidence starts to pile up. The scale slowly tips. Your brain begins to update its self-image. One day you wake up and realize you no longer have to force yourself to do the workout. You just do it. One day you sit down to record or edit without the usual negotiation. You just start. That's the moment the identity shift has taken hold. Let me give you a clearer picture of how this voting process actually unfolds over time. Week 1 to 2. You're excited. You follow the if-then plans religiously. You feel like a new person. The votes for the new identity are coming in strong. But the old identity is still loud in the background. It's fighting back. It's comfortable. It's familiar. Week 3 to 4, life tests you. You miss a day. The old voice gets louder. See, you're still the same person. This is where most people quit. They see 1 or 2 missed votes and assume the new identity isn't working. But here's the key difference. The people who succeed don't panic when they miss a vote. They simply cast the next vote as soon as possible. They understand that one bad day doesn't erase 20 good votes. The stack is what matters, not perfection. Month 2 to 3, something interesting starts to happen. The new identity begins to feel less like a costume and more like skin. You catch yourself automatically doing things the old you would have negotiated over. The if-then plans feel easier. Resistance is quieter. You're not fighting yourself as much. Month 4 to 6. The shift becomes obvious to you. Other people might even start noticing. You're no longer trying to be consistent. You simply are consistent. The old identity feels distant, like a previous version of yourself you barely recognize anymore. This is the power of the voting mechanism. It's slow, It's quiet, but it is incredibly reliable when you stay committed to casting the right votes day after day. The beautiful part is that you don't need massive, heroic actions to win this vote. Small, consistent votes are actually more powerful than occasional big ones. Doing 10 push-ups when you don't feel like it is a vote. Recording 15 minutes of script when you're tired is a vote. Drinking the glass of water instead of scrolling is a vote. Cleaning one shelf instead of putting it off is a vote. These small votes might feel insignificant in the moment, but they are building the evidence your brain needs to rewrite who you are. And here's the most important truth. You are always voting. There is no neutral. Every single day, you are either strengthening the old identity or the new one. The question is never, am I voting? The question is always, which version am I voting for right now? Once you truly internalize this, you stop seeing missed days as failures. You stop beating yourself up. You simply ask, what vote am I casting next? That shift in perspective alone is incredibly powerful. This voting mechanism is what connects everything we've talked about this week. Monday was about respecting your own word, the foundation. Wednesday was about giving you the system to keep that word, the tool. Today is about understanding that every time you use that system, you're literally building a new identity. The votes you cast using the if-then plans are the evidence that rewrites who you are. That's why some people can use the exact same tools and completely transform, while others get temporary results and then fade. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't motivation, it isn't even discipline. The difference is which identity they are consistently voting for. So far, we've covered the painful truth, the voting mechanism, and why most systems eventually fail. Now let's get extremely practical. How do you actually change your identity? Not with wishful thinking, not with motivation, not with another planner or a productivity hack. You change it through deliberate, consistent evidence. Here's the exact 4-step process that works. I've broken it down so you can start using it this weekend. Step 1. Decide who you want to become with brutal specificity. Most people stay vague here, and that's why they stay stuck. Don't say, I want to be more disciplined. Say, I am someone who keeps my word, no matter how I feel. Don't say, I want to grow my channel. Say, I am someone who ships content consistently, even when views are low and motivation is gone. Don't say, I want to build wealth. Say, I am someone who executes daily systems that compound into real financial freedom. Write it down, make it personal, make it clear enough that you could recognize this version of yourself if you saw them walking down the street. This decision is the North Star. Everything else flows from it. Step 2, start casting deliberate votes using your existing systems. Take the if-then plans you created on Wednesday and tie them directly to your new identity. Instead of just, if the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., then I drink water, upgrade it to, if the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., then I sit up and drink water, because that's what the person I'm becoming does. The small addition of, because that's what the person I'm becoming does, turns a simple action into identity reinforcement. Do this with every important if-then plan. Link the action to the new identity every single time. At first it will feel a little awkward. That's normal. Keep doing it anyway. The repetition is what makes it stick. Step 3. Track the votes ruthlessly and honestly. This is where most people fail. At the end of every single day, ask yourself one question and answer it honestly. Did my actions today vote for the old me or the new me? Use your weekly OS or a simple notebook. Mark it as a new me day or an old me day. Be brutally honest, no sugarcoating. Seeing the pattern in black and white is incredibly powerful. You'll start hating the old me days more than you ever did before. That emotional sting becomes fuel to protect your new me days. Over time, you'll notice the new me days start to outnumber the old ones. That's when the shift begins to feel real. Step 4. Be patient with the lag and keep voting anyway. This is the hardest part for most people. Identity change has a lag. For the first few weeks, you might not feel any different. The old identity will still feel stronger. You'll have days where you slip. You'll doubt whether this is actually working. This is normal. The key is to keep voting, even when you don't feel the shift yet. The evidence is accumulating in the background. Your brain is watching. It's updating slowly. Most people quit. right before the shift happens because they expect instant transformation. The ones who succeed understand that identity change is like compound interest, slow at first, then suddenly dramatic. Trust the process, keep casting the votes. The lag is part of the deal. But when you combine these 4 steps with the self-respect work from Monday and the if-then plans from Wednesday, something powerful happens. You create a complete system. Monday reminds you why your word matters, self-respect. Wednesday gives you the tool to keep it, implementation intentions. Today gives you the target to aim for, the new identity. Together they form a loop that compounds over time. You keep your word, leads to you cast votes. For the new identity, leads to your self-respect grows. Leads to keeping your word becomes easier, leads to you cast even more votes. This is how permanent change actually happens. Not through one big moment, not through perfect motivation, but through thousands of small, deliberate votes stacked consistently over months. So what does life actually look like once the identity shift happens? It's quieter than you'd expect. You stop waking up every morning needing to psych yourself up. You stop having long internal debates about whether you feel like doing the work. You simply do what needs to be done because that's who you are now. The workouts happen without negotiation. The side hustle tasks get executed even on the days when progress feels slow. The garage or storage room stays organized because mess no longer feels acceptable to the person you become. It doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means the resistance becomes manageable. The old voice that used to scream, "Just skip it," becomes a whisper you can easily ignore. You still have bad days. You still get tired. You still face unexpected problems. But now those days don't derail you for weeks. You miss a vote, acknowledge it, and immediately cast the next one. The stack keeps growing. The new identity stays in control. This is the freedom most people never reach. They spend their whole lives fighting themselves. You stop fighting and start aligning. Fitness stops being a constant battle and becomes part of your normal operating system. Wealth building stops feeling like a distant dream and becomes the logical outcome of consistent daily execution. You carry yourself differently. You speak about your goals with quiet confidence instead of anxious hope. You make decisions from the perspective of the person you become rather than the person you used to be. That's the real reward, not just hitting the goals, but becoming the type of person for whom those goals are inevitable. This is what the grind to a million actually looks like when done right. Not endless hustle and burnout, not chasing motivation every single day, but quiet, consistent execution rooted in a new identity. The systems support you, the votes build you, the identity sustains you, and that combination is incredibly powerful. So here's your challenge for this weekend, the one that closes out this 3-part series. Take 10 quiet minutes today. Go somewhere you won't be disturbed, maybe in your car, maybe on a walk, maybe sitting at your desk. Write down the exact identity you are choosing to build from this point forward. Make it clear, make it personal, make it something you can feel proud of. Then pick one small but meaningful action you will take today, one deliberate vote, that proves you are becoming that person. When this video ends, do not just sit there thinking about it. Pause the video if you need to. Stand up, go do that one action immediately. No negotiation, no "I'll do it later," no waiting until you feel ready, because the person you're becoming doesn't wait. Before you go, drop your answer in the comments below. Be specific and honest. Tell me, what new identity are you choosing to build? What is the one specific vote you are casting for it right now? Examples. I am someone who keeps my word no matter what. Today, I'm recording the next video script even though I'm tired. I am someone who executes daily. My vote today is doing my full workout instead of skipping. The more specific you are, the more real this becomes. Let's build a community of people who are not just watching videos about change, but who are actually becoming the changed version of themselves. If this 3-part series helped you, Monday's truth about self-respect, Wednesday's system to execute, and today's identity work, smash that like button. It helps more people find this kind of no-hype content. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss next week's videos. Grab the free weekly OS to track your daily votes and strengthen your new identity. Link in the description. Now go cast your vote, because the person you're becoming is watching every single action you take. I'll see you in the next one.